Hey everyone, welcome to Quick Served. It was a tough day for Anisimova. First, let's point out there are exactly two people on planet Earth who made the finals of the women's event at Wimbledon. Right, so a successful tournament. She would have taken a final. Obviously, 0-0 is not what you want to happen. That is not, and you could see kind of the various stages of panic, right? There's like Iga comes out and she comes out hot. She comes out, strategy is on point. Anisimova is not hitting two shots from the same position. She is running into every ball she is hitting. Shot tolerance from Iga, the ability to redirect, all the things that we talked about that would be interesting in the first couple of games. Iga executed perfectly and Anisimova looked like, it was a little bit uncomfortable. And Iga we talked about her being a great front runner. Chips get down, and then it gets to 6-0, and then it gets to 1-0, and then all of a sudden you're not nervous because you're in a Wimbledon final. You're not nervous because of what Iga is doing and how she's executing. You're now nervous about the scoreboard, right? And you could see 2-0, 3-0. You start playing against the scoreboard where I can only assume that at 6-0, 3-0, 4-0, Anisimova is thinking 0% about how to win Wimbledon. And it's, gosh, please don't let me get beat 0-0 here, which is a horrible place to be as a pro tennis player. But credit to Iga Swiatek before we get into the mental gymnastics of playing a final and having it go sideways. Iga Swiatek, dominated this tournament. The score lines were like Clay-esque for her, and like prime Roland Garros. I use Pete as the example. From 1 year you're not comfortable on grass, and the next year you're dominant on grass. Pretty impressive stuff. JW, is the mood there just kind of awkward? Feeling for Anisimova while also wanting to give Iga all the flowers that she deserves for this incredible run.
Yeah, I cannot remember a final that felt sort of more funereal, and that was casual fans who paid a lot of money and didn't get much of a match. I think hardcore tennis fans who know a little bit more and some of the story and the backstory. I think sort of let's not lose sight of Iga here, and I'm glad you brought that up. Obviously the scoreline is going to be a big storyline, and we all, it's been almost 40 years since we had a double bagel final, blah, blah, blah. I think, here's a generational player. She's won her sixth major, and she did it. The previous tournament she won, not major, tournament she won was the 2024 French Open. She's been through a lot. She came in here as the 8th seed. That was her lowest positioning post-COVID. And what does she do? She turns it around and looks like the dominating player that we saw a few years ago. We were talking about, should she make a coaching change? I would say, we've talked about it before. When Wimfis said has put together a hell of a resume. Not too many people talking about the coaching change. She's back. Her aura's back. She's now one major away from winning the career slam. It's stupid to talk about at some level because it's not reality. But if she wins this match 6-1, 6-1, it's a completely different conversation. And we're just simply talking about her domination and not sort of the excruciating watch that people went through for 57 minutes today. So props to Iga, and we can. Let's be honest too and talk about what happened on the other side of the net. But, Iga, I think has one takeaway here is Iga's really put herself back in the conversation. And this was a star that was falling and fading a little bit. That is not the case right now.
Yeah. And she's quickly entering the conversation. It's really fun when you watch Generations and you start comparing them to other generations, not even who's better, who's worse, but just, she has more majors than Maria Sharapova. Now, she is one behind Venus. She's, trending towards Justine Henin. You're starting to look at Iga, and we're victims of the moment to where we can point out, oh my gosh, she looked terrible on clay. She, lost 1-1 to Coco in Madrid. That feels like it's in the rear view a little bit. And also, careers aren't made in a 3-month stretch. Right? The good parts of it can, like Alcaraz, winning 2 majors every 3 months, every summer now. It can be made, but I don't know, bet against the greats at their own peril. And there is something too, and I think this is probably more anecdotal and maybe something, it's a little half-baked, but you saw Coco win the U.S. Open, and then expectations set in, and then we talked about it on our show. She doesn't defend the U.S. Open, plays a very tight match, loses to Emma Navarro, and then it's like, okay, I don't have to defend that huge thing anymore, right? I don't have to like protect what is mine, what trophy is sitting on my mantle this year. And she goes, plays well in Asia. She goes, plays well in World Tour finals. I wonder if Iga needed to get through that French Open for a full reset, right? It's like, I'm 8. This is my new reality. This is like, I'm actually attacking the field now instead of protecting myself from the field. I think and there's not one answer. It could be a little bit of that. It could be a little bit of grass preparation. It could be a little bit of something just clicking. It could be a little bit of, strategic. Am I hitting, more shots on this side? It obviously, she was going after her serve more. So it's not just one thing, and we're going to be lazy and try to make it one thing, right? And there's going to be a dominant storyline. It's all of these little pieces that fit into the puzzle, which if they can go right, you end up dominating a Grand Slam. But your base setting has to be, I have the ability and I have the processes in place and I'm in good enough shape to dominate a Grand Slam. And she's one of the few players on earth that is.
And isn't there also something that accumulates with this? That, you sink your teeth into a tournament and she lost a set to Katie McNally and then closed out the match. And by about, I would say one set into that quarterfinal, you're thinking like, she's going to win this tournament, isn't she? I feel like not only do we have these turnarounds, but it's like compound interest on like they really accelerate fast. And I would say when we reach the pivot point, the sort of middle weekend of this tournament, she was a contender in the eyes of everyone, not least the rest of the locker room.
Well, it's also how you trend, right? I mean, Iga has proven, even with this today, we can still talk about she's been vulnerable in third, fourth rounds and slams. And her record, once she gets to the semis, she lost to Maddie Keys, but when she gets to the, semis finals, she's mentally dominant, right? Whereas like people's path towards slams and where they peak, it's all different depending on your personality. Iga's high strung. She's protecting early in. I was high strung when I played, protecting early in slams, and then once she kind of has it and is not having all those side thoughts about finding decision making, finding RPMs. Once she feels confident in her game, she becomes mentally dominant. Right? People are mentally dominant at different stages, depending on the physicality, the mental parts of it, all of that stuff. Kind of, we try to bake it all the same, and that's not the way we are as humans. First of all, and it's certainly not the way we are as athletes. But I just think I do want to celebrate the story of Anisimova. I know this is going to leave a mark. I got to think it's going to be a little bit of a hangover. Even one game is different than no games, and people are going to obsess on it. But like I was sitting here at 6-0, and I'm like, if I'm the coach, I'm yelling, it's the same score line. It's the same, like net. It's the same as if you lost 7-6. It doesn't feel good because you got blown out and you got to find it in a hurry, right? But I would have been trying to negotiate something like 7-6 is almost worse. You weren't close. Let's just reset quickly.
Yeah, and I don't know how much of this is just the moment. I mean, again, 48 hours ago, she beat the number one player in the world and stared her down. I mean, that was a mental toughness win, and then she comes back. I don't know how much of this was the occasion, how much of this was the fact that she'd never. I mean, I wonder if it's relevant that they had never played each other before, and there was no sort of basis of knowledge that you could tap into. And I think you're right. At some point, this became about the score and not the opponent. One thing I love about this podcast is. You read some of our audience are hardcore tennis fans. That's awesome. They know the results of Hobart from 2 years ago. That's great. Others are much more casual fans. Why don't you explain why? What's your response to the inevitable question? It's a Wimbledon final. Couldn't she have just given her one game?
No.
Explain why. I mean, I think
no.
No, I agree, but it's the kind of question that I think a casual fan might wonder. Why don't you explain why we don't do that?
Because it's sports.
Exactly.
You beat someone as badly as you can be. If you can't give someone a game. Like imagine you being at your job, you outcompete someone for a contract, right? Or you win business from someone, and then whoever you were bidding against, I don't know, let's just give them some money for their efforts. That would be an absurd thing to like actually propose to someone. But also, like, Iga is great in many facets, and she served amazingly well for this tournament, but Anisimova normally serves pretty well. Iga, second serve is attackable sometimes. So if you're out on court and you're going 5-0, give this game, holds another one 5-2, 5-2, like, you are protecting against everything. You will not let daylight into that room. You stomp on someone's throat because this is sports and we've all agreed to this contract. We have all known since we were 8 or 9 years old that the person across from us is going to stomp on our faces and bleed every last point out. Look who Iga's idol is, Rafa Nadal. You think he ever took any points off? Absolutely not. And if Anisimova goes, oh, she's laying off on me, like most professional tennis matches, people don't take it easy on their opponents.
My response to this is 2 words, but I do think it's a question that comes up a lot, especially among casual fans that don't grasp the nuance. My response to that is just no clock, right? In the NBA, you can let someone shoot an open 3-pointer when you can't run out the clock here. So 5-1 becomes 5-2, and then suddenly the crowd gets into it. Now you're only down a break, perhaps, and then suddenly the sand is coming through the hourglass. But I do think that's a question that the casual fan here who paid £500 and is coming to tennis for the first time might wonder that. That's why
I'm sorry. If you want a guaranteed amount of time for your investment in something, go watch John on 60 Minutes. It's right there in the title. It's going to be there for you. Tennis, sports, it's supposed to be unpredictable. Good, bad. We have a 5-hour and 45-minute Roland Garros final. The greatest thing ever. Do you know what makes it the greatest thing ever? Is because sometimes it doesn't work out that way. It's an honest brokering of skill versus emotion every single time you're out there. Or it should be, if we treat the game the right way. Absolutely. And there's no player. There is not an ounce of me as a former player that if I'm getting run through the woodshed, I'd be more upset if someone gave me a game. And I could feel that thing. I deserve to get taken out to pasture on this one. I just do. That's just the way sports is. That's everything that we've signed up for. This isn't anything else. And 2 out of 3 sets, you're up 4-0, 4-1's different. Like, people have come back from that, probably in this tournament at some point. You know, like, it's just, that doesn't work that way. It's just, there's no space for this argument, I don't think. Not
not
here.
An argument. I'm just servicing the audience.
Yeah.
But I think you raise a good point, too, that at this level, this is not charity. That nobody wants a gift of a game.
This isn't Newport.
Right. All right.
Thoughts on tomorrow, JW? We're not worried about Sinner's elbow. These guys are just ready to cook. Neither was real. I mean, the Fritz match was a little bit longer, but they have a day off. I don't think there's any physical issues. I think these guys are going to roll it out. Let's let a rip tater chip. Let's see what the adjustments are.
This is what we wanted. 5 weeks. 5 weeks after the Classic in Paris. Let's run it back, fellas.
Yeah, I'll take the under on 5 hours and 45 minutes on grass.
Yeah.
But curious to see. I think Carlos is more settled in his grass court game. I think he's able to play offense. I think he's able to play defense. Really curious to see if Sinner wants to get into those like hard backhand to backhand rallies to try to pin Alcaraz in a corner, or if he's quick to switch directions, right? Because think about this. Like, I'm normally a fan of someone taking the risk early. If they can, I not something I could do because I couldn't really hit a down line backhand, but like, I like that. But also, as soon as you pull Carlos wide, you also open up the wand to where he can all of a sudden pull you wide, right? You go line, you leave cross court exposed. Those are all the things. So I'm wondering if Sinner is going, listen, my best chance is controlling the middle of the court, going as big as I can and trying to take away angles from Carlos, and that also protects against it doesn't make it a matchup of movement, right? As soon as he breaks, if he doesn't hit it perfectly, then they're both skating, right? They're both adjusting and having to react and anticipate movement. So I don't know exactly what the strategy is going to be from the Sinner camp, and I'm super interesting because I think that's something that you have to at least show Carlos in the first, 3 or 4 games. Hey, Techie Sean, you're probably the nicest one in our group. Would you have given someone a game?
No way.
What if they said please?
No.
Mike?
I mean, I think honestly, it's when you watch something like this, like you kind of were hinting at it over the last, you said when you saw her personally play Iga, you just said she was just looking in the rarest of form and peak form. You'd never seen her play like this. And when you see Amanda came out a little, she just seemed a little stiff, and there was just, like you said, right? There was no room for breath. She took her into the deep end. And
I'm sorry,
immediately
as an athlete,
and it was special to watch. To be honest with you,
you smother when you see that. You smother someone. You're all over them. It's like Mike. You're a UFC guy. You've done a lot of work in UFC. As soon as someone they're hit, tell me what happens next.
Yeah, I mean they jump on him. I mean this was like watching Khabib, John.
Right.
This was
they're
watching
all
Khabib.
over them. And also, JW, you were chatting really quickly, and we'll leave it after this. Because it's supposed to be quick serve. It's right there in the title. But you were discussing 2 days ago, she was on center court, and it was a great. It feels different on final Sunday at Wimbledon. There's more ceremony. You go into a locker room, there's no one there. It is there is a weight to it when you walk in, where you walk into the players' areas, and there's not a soul on site. You would think the buzz, and you'd think it'd be hyped up because it's the biggest match. From a player's perspective, no cars are lined up. The parking areas are empty. Everything is empty, even more so than it was 2 or 3 days ago. And then the walk out through the clubhouse, all of that, the silence is deafening on final Saturday or final Sunday at Wimbledon.
I've heard one player describe it to me. They said, at some level that this could change your career. This will change how people remember you. It's hard for some players. There are bonuses that kick in. There's a commercial. There's a whole sort of transactional side to this. And you have that knowledge, and you sort of know deep down this is what you played for. And if you're a major champion, that changes the first line of your tennis obit. And then you arrive. It's exactly what you said. Then you arrive on site. And there's Kate, and there's the certain, you're right, there's this certain eerie silence in the locker room, and these people tiptoeing around you, and the coin flip, and all these sort of extra elements only reinforce that this is absolutely a momentous match. And so on the one hand, in theory, the day before, you can say, yeah, if I win this, I'm a major champion, let's give it out there. But when you arrive on site and realize that everyone's tiptoeing around, and the aura of the tournament is completely different than it even was in the semis, that's when it hits you. I've heard a player explain that to me.
Yeah, and also the weird things, and this isn't a factor in a result, right? So take it for what it's worth. But there are 10 other examples of something like this. You don't normally you hike your bag on your shoulder and it feels normal because you're walking out there. This one, it's I used to grip my bag when I walked out and kind of look down all the time. And all of a sudden, they take it out for you. So your hands are it's you remember Talladega Nights where it's Ricky Bobby's trying to figure out what to do with his hands.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just you don't know. It's all of these weird things that oh, why do I not have my bag? Oh yeah, this is a whole production, a whole ordeal. This is the thing that you've watched. You've seen people walk out there like this and not know what to do, and also nothing part of this. If you win this, you are part of a membership of the greatest tennis club on earth. For the rest of your life, you can go there whenever you would like and participate in the majesty of the All England Club for the rest of your life. And if you're a tennis nerd like I am, that is one of the most humbling things to play for, right? And that was the thing when I lost, I was I felt heartbroken about that, all the selfish reasons as well. But that is a huge thing too. The member pins and the ties, and you see the greats that you idolize walking around with these things, all of that. It's not I never once thought about, okay, the money changes my life. It's that special group of people you wanted to be a part of. That is a huge deal. And all of those things affect that walk out to the court, affects the first couple of games. And then, you play a couple, and if they go okay, you can kind of settle in a little bit. But if you kind of get taken out in those first 2 or 3 games, I can only imagine that's incredibly unsettling. And I have a lot of sympathy for Anisimova because of that.
Totally. And to your point, just to put a quick button on it, Iga literally walks off the court and they affix the purple member. I mean, she's like, "Hey, when's movie night? When's bingo?" I mean, literally, it's not like, "Hey, come back, you're welcome anytime." I mean, literally, you walk off the court, you're a first-time champion, and the first thing she does is get that little purple magnet on her lapel. So anyway, good for Iga. You hope Amanda Anisimova recovers for the Open. She has a career high ranking of number 7. It's a great year for her. A regrettable second Saturday in July, but she'll come to the Open as a fan favorite. I would say as a borderline contender, riding probably a career high ranking. She failed to qualify last year. So if I'm her camp, I'm thinking like, not the result we wanted in the finals, obviously, and understatement. Big picture, you're doing great.
Totally. We will see you tomorrow, hopefully after another amazing Alcaraz Sinner final. Thanks for watching Quick Serve.